What's good, G Life? This right here is Killicali, California, home of its beautiful weather, sandy beaches, the Hollywood nightlife, and also gangbanging capital. Home to hundreds and hundreds of different gangs and thousands of documented gang members from north, south, white, blacks, Asian, and everybody in between. And this right here is the city of Bell, 13th smallest city in LA County. So it is very, small, right? And now, the reason I wanted to do this video is the misconception that people have of this city because of its size and because it is heavily populated with Middle Easterns, right? Arabs and, people like that, Muslims and stuff like that, right? But it is also filled with a lot of Hispanics, raza, not just, Arabs. And people think that it's the nicer part of Los Angeles. You have to have money in order to live in Bell, which is not true because I lived in Bell for several years, actually. You know what I mean? So I know a lot of these individuals from this area, the barrios, and met a lot of cool people. So with no further ado, that's what we're going to be getting into. So let's get into it. I keep it G like a G is supposed to. I'm from the old school, no one comes close to. Post it up and I do what I want to. Post it up and I do what I want to. I keep it G like a G is supposed to. I'm from the old school, no one comes close to. Post it up and I do what I want to. Post it up and I do what I want to. I keep it true and I mean every last word. I was fooled by the truth, real gangsters. White tee creased up with a strap too. I'm from the bottom where we earn all our tattoos. Boy, it's taboo when you living just like I do. Air is up and you know we keep it all blue. I keep it loony and I don't mean like cartoons. They talk brave till they hear that click, clack, boom. It is what it is, we do what the G's do. Celebrate so we hotbox the whole room.
You are now watching MOD Entertainment.
Now we'll be starting off with the oldest and largest of all the barrios within Bell, right? Because you do have several neighborhoods within the city of Bell, but this is by far the oldest and original ones out of the area of Bell, which is known as the BSTs, the Bear Street Crazies, Bear Street Locals. They mostly say Bear Street Crazies, but you can say Bear Street Locals, the Bear Street Crazies. They are the originators out of the city of Bell, right? This barrio goes back already, dating back all the way to the 70s, but didn't become a part of the Florence gang until roughly around 2000, the early 2000s, like 2002, 2003, or roughly around that time frame, right? But the gang in itself being older since the 70s, right? Because originally they just started off as their own individual barrio, right? The Bear Street Crazies, right? And their territory was roughly located where Bell Avenue, all the way to Salt Lake, and from Salt Lake, their turf still extended all the way to Florence, and from Florence, their turf still went all the way to what's Atlantic Avenue and back around, right? Everything in the middle, right? From Florida, Fishburne, Otis, Gifford, Corona, St. Louis, and all of that, right? But the main domain of theirs, the heart of their hood, their dojo, was obviously on Bear, right? Bear Avenue, Bear Street, Bear Avenue, same thing, right? Bear and Bear, right? You know what's Bear and like Brompton, Bear and Beck, and all of that, right? Was known as their barrio, their main domain, their dojo, bro. That is where they held it down and continue to still hold it down, right? Because it's still an active barrio with individuals that still do their thing. And you can't tell me that that's not true because I know homies from this barrio and I see it for myself. I literally live right next to right here, right? And like I said, I lived in the city for roughly about like 5 years, right? So I met a lot of individuals, from this area, got hit up a lot. I still, pass through this area every single day coming to work. So I trust me when I say I know what I'm talking about. I know these individuals. I got a lot of homies, and know individuals from Bear, right? So these individuals do their thing, and like I said, people now I see people putting in the comments that they got punked or they got scared into Florence. That's not true. I don't know where people get this idea from, that that they were scared or they got punked or Florence just punked them. That's not true. They had a good relationship, good ties with the Florence neighborhood, and evidently decided to join forces, right? Because they had a good bond with them, right? They just thought it was it would be a lot better, to join forces or whatever, right? It doesn't make them weak, doesn't make them scared, doesn't mean they can't handle their own business. None of that, bro, because Bears got real riders, real individuals that do real things for their neighborhood, bro. They got homies busted for real shit, bro. Not for selling no cookies or banging on somebody on the internet, bro. We're talking about some real shit, bro. So how could they be scared? You know what I mean? That's just haters and people that literally, have no ties to the street, literally talk without knowing, because these individuals do their thing and continue to still hold it down for the Bear Street Crazies right there. Next barrio on the list, for this barrio, we gotta just not even drive far at all, bro. Literally just up the street, you know what I mean? Is where you have the next barrio on the list, which is known as the LVPL, which is known as the Loma Vista Place. Loma Vista. Now, why Loma Vista Place? Place stands for because there's two Loma Vistas. You have Loma Vista Street, and then you have Loma Vista Place, right? Which is the next street. So that's why they write the place to different the two areas, right? Because they're not located on Loma Vista Street, they're located on Loma Vista Place, and that's the reason for that place title being in their name, right? And they're the next oldest and largest in the area of Bell, right? Dating already back to the early 80s when this neighborhood was established. And their territory, just like I said, is right next over to, Bears, which is everything that's from Atlantic to Gage, and from Gage all the way to Salt Lake, and from Salt Lake all the way to Bell. Right? Everything in the middle is considered their barrio. What's California, Loma Vista Place, Loma Vista Avenue, and everything that's around the Camp Little Bear Park around there is where you're able to find this barrio. Now, this barrio before used to be a lot more larger than what it is now, and that's due to the fact that they knocked down a lot of their apartments to build the school that's right there in the parque. So because of that, their turf took a big hit, right? With a lot of people getting, having to, move and stuff like that because how the area was demolished, to make room for that. But still, don't get it twisted, bro. This barrio's still there. They still have homies that hold it down, for their neighborhood. Now, they may not be as big as, like, Bear Street, obviously, whose members are, like, well, from what I was told, like, roughly more than, 300 to them or something like that. But Loma Vista Place, they're roughly a few hundred members to them. So, they do got numbers to them, you know what I mean? At least from what I was told. Everything that's around the Gage Bowl as well, for those who are familiar with the area, that is what's considered the Loma Vista Place territory, right? And like I said, I know individuals that got homies from this barrio as well. You know what I mean? Like I said, I used to live just right there. They used to live in the apartment places where I used to live, so I used to be chilling and drinking with them. So I know these individuals, have handle their business and are about their work, homie. You know what I mean? These guys ain't no suckers, and they're the next ones that are originally out of the Bell area. So they're not another neighborhood that came from a different area. This has always been their birthplace, their hometown, and they're real camponeros. You know what I mean? Real Belltown gangsters, as they consider themselves, putting it down for theirs and still continue to hold theirs and put theirs on the map. And now the next ones on the list, right? When we're talking about, original homebred barrios out of the city of Bell, real camponeros, is the barrio CST translating to Chandler Street. So not to be confused for Clarence or Columbus or Center or Citron or any other streets that are also CST. You know what I mean? They just have the same abbreviation. That's it. But these guys are from the city of Bell, right? They just all have the same abbreviations. I talked about it in a separate video. But this is the Chandler Street's, hometown, where they originated from, right? And this barrio has been around since the mid 80s, later 80s, when this neighborhood was established, right? Now, it may not be as large as the, let's say, Loma Vista or Bear, but don't get it twisted. These individuals handle business. You know what I mean? They got real writers that do real things for their side as well. You know, you definitely see the activity and hear about the work, you know, that these individuals be putting. You know, like I said, you know, I see the graffiti all the time and, you know, the crossing out and the back and forth and all of that, bro. So I know these individuals, you know, are, you know, out there, you know, roaming around, right? And their territory is everything that's essentially was from Gage Avenue, all the way to Wilcox, and from Wilcox, their territory extends still all the way to Florence Avenue, from Florence Avenue all the way to where the riverbed is at, and back around. Everything in the middle is considered their barrio, you know, throughout Walker, throughout Sherman Way, you know, the Veteran Memorial Park, you know, but you know, the main domain, the heart of their hood, their dojo, where they get on and cracking, is what's Chandler's Avenue and South Hall Lane, right? South Hall Lane and Chandler Avenue, or Chandler and Florence, or Chandler and River Drive, is the heart of their hood. That's the belly of the beast. That is the danger zone. For those who are familiar with the area, you know the riverbed path that passes through there, right? You don't want to be caught lacking right there if you don't know your way around, right? Because, you know, you're going to reach the dead end right there in the riverbed, and they will get it on and cracking, bro. You know, these guys ain't playing right there, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, these are real individuals that, you know, handle their scandal, bro. You know, roughly from what I was told is that there are more than 65 members to them, so they do have heads to them, you know what I mean? Like I said, they may not be as large as some of the other ones, but don't get it twisted. You know, these individuals, you know, are real camponeros. Like I said, you know, it's one of their clicas, the name of their clica, you know what I mean? You know, they're proud to be out of the Bell area and still hold it down for theirs and going at it with, you know, the surrounding neighborhoods. I know people try to say that other riders, you know, came and took over their territory and stuff like that. But like I said, you can always get haters and people that just, you know, talk or just dislike them. That's what haters do, bro, you know. But I don't come here to hate. I could only come and spit the facts. That's it. You know what I mean? You can hate it or love it. I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, that's what's up with the Chandler Street right there, holding it down out of the city of Bell. Another barrio that you could find in the city of Bell as well, right, is the Southside 18th Street. Now, Southside 18th Street obviously has been around in the south side of Los Angeles for a long time, you know, in areas like Cudahy and Maywood, which they're more known, you know, for those branches, right? But also the city of Bell, right? Because all of these areas are, you know, connected, right? The south side of Los Angeles. And in the city of Bell, they have a clica of theirs, you know, because there was a neighborhood that was in the city of Bell that was named Vineville Locos, and Vineville was its own separate, you know, barrio, right? And they just happened to have, you know, camaradas, you know, from 18th Street, you know, and they had a good, you know, relationship, you know, together, right? So the Vinevilles ended up getting into the 18th Street neighborhood, making it the 18th Street Vineville clique, right? And the Vineville clique is the clique that's right there in the city of Bell, right? And essentially everything that was the Vineville's, you know, territory was Gage and Atlantic, and from Gage and Atlantic, the territory headed all the way to Florence, and from Florence, their turf still extended all the way towards Wilcox and back around. So everything in the middle of that, you know, what's Heliotrope, what's Mayflower, Prospect, Woodward. All of that is considered their vital, but obviously their main domain, their dojo, was on Vineville. You know, everything that's right there on Vineville and across, you know, what's Vineville and Bell is the belly of the beast, the lion's den, you know, that is where they get on and cracking, right? Or was Nelson and Heliotrope too as well, or Heliotrope and Bell Avenue. But that is where you were able to find, you know, the Vineville or the 18th Street, you know, now, obviously, their clica of their barrio. But yes, before it was its own individual barrio that just became a clique off of the 18th Streeters, right? So the 18th Streeters do have a presence here in Bell, not just in Maywood and Cudahy, but also right here. Like I said, their neighborhood just happens to be spread out all over the place, you know. Now their Vineville clique is not as big as their other cliques, right? It's a little bit more smaller. At least from what I was told, it was roughly only around 15 to 20 members, but nonetheless, individuals that did their thing and held it down for theirs. Now, another barrio that you have within the area of Bell, right? But they write HP. But technically, the area is HP, but it's literally considered Bell, right? Because, I mean, it's literally just, you know, one street that's they considered Huntington Park. Huntington Park, to me, doesn't start until you cross the train tracks. You know, everything from the train tracks on the opposite end, to me, is Bell, right? But like I said, the city is just designed weird where just some streets are considered a different city for some odd reason. I never understood that. It happens in the city of Maywood as well, not just in the city of Bell, where you would just have these one streets that are considered Huntington Park for some odd reason. So that is why they claim, you know, HP, but technically the area is Bell, right? Which is the Barrio WSK. WSK is originally, used to be a tag banging crew, right? That was roughly started in the 90s, right? And then transitioned into becoming a neighborhood. In its territory was everything that was on what's Gage and, you know, Loma Vista Place, Nevada, all of that, right where the Tom's Burgers at is what's considered the WSK's territory. And this is a real barrio. They are legitly a real neighborhood, right? Who have also cliques in South Central, not only in South Central, but also out of the state of California. They are also located in the city of Minneapolis, right? So they are located, you know, in different areas, not just here, right? And they do hold a presence, right? At least from what I was told, is there are a few hundred members to them, all as one, right? Roughly around in this area, though, they're only roughly around 40 to 50 members, but have real individuals that did real things for their territory, right? They obviously, you know, frequent the area of Bell, right? Because, you know, a lot of them guys went to Bell High School, where, you know, you will see a lot of their activities, you know, roughly the time when they were like super active, right? So these individuals are, and I do see their graffiti and all of that, and I have been hit up by these individuals at the gas station several times, so I know these guys are around doing their work. As a matter of fact, I got hit up by them just about like 2 weeks ago. There was like about, you know, 3 to 4 youngsters, you know, if I'm not mistaken. So I know these individuals are out there, you know, doing their damn thing, homie. You know, and obviously WSK stands for We So Crazy. Real neighborhood that does real things and continue to still put theirs on the map for their barrio. Another barrio that you have within the area of Bell, but technically they also claim the city of Huntington Park. Technically where they're at is like Maywood slash Huntington Park slash Bell. Right, because you see a lot of their activities in the city of Bell, right? And in Bell High School, you know, where you're able to find them roaming and doing their thing and around that area, right? Around the Bell Plaza, and Randolph, and all of that is where you were able to find this barrio, which is known as the barrio UMK. UMK translating to barrio Unstoppable Mexican Kings, or Us Mexican Kings. Unstoppable Mexican Kings used to be a tag banging crew that was roughly around in the 90s. They had real individuals. I remember seeing these guys up and hearing about, you know, hearing about them, and, you know, they were putting in work, bro, you know. And essentially, they claim the street of Flora Street. Flora Street is their main domain, their dojo. You know, that is where they, you know, got it on and crack it. Now, obviously, Flora Street is located in the city of Maywood, right, which was on Slauson and Flora Avenue, right? What's between 60 and Slauson, right, was where they, you know, handled their scandal, right? That was their belly of the beast, their main domain. Which is technically the city of Maywood, but that one street is considered Huntington Park. But you will see more of their activity and hear about more of their activity in the Bell side of the area. That's why I decided to add them to this portion of the video, right? Because you do see them and have a lot of activity in the city, and they do have members that live in the city of Bell, right? You see them by the Veterans Park as well, by Woodward as well. So you definitely hear about these individuals. Now, they're not a large neighborhood, like I said, because they're not as old school, and they were a tag banging crew, right? But pretty large tag banging crew, you know what I mean? At least from what I was told, this barrio is roughly more than 50 members to them. So they do have, you know, some heads to them, but like I said, one of the more smaller barrios within this area. But like I said, real individuals that do real things and continue to put theirs on the map for the Unstoppable Mexican Kings.